how do we actually create ROI for a business? And what I want you to walk away with at the end of my talk today, in the next 40 minutes, is how you can actually implement an ROI strategy for 2026. So having more knowledge on something you can actually walk away and implement pretty much after this conversation today. Does that sound pretty good to you guys? Would that be worth your time? Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so firstly, let's talk about some social media trends in Australia. It says 2024 there, but it's pretty much, it hasn't really changed since that time, the landscape. So where are we currently? Well, Facebook is Australia's largest social media platform, sitting around 18.2 million active users. What does an active user mean? It means that they've been on the platform more than 3 times a month, okay? So there's about 18.2 million active users, monthly users in Australia on Facebook. YouTube at second, WhatsApp at third, Instagram at 11.3, TikTok is about the same as Instagram in terms of size, LinkedIn, and then you've got all the way down to Tinder. Believe it or not, Tinder's actually a social media network. And that's the makeup of our top 10. So in the top 5 there, you've got 3 platforms that are all owned by the same business. Does anyone know what that business name is? Meta, right? So you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, and you've got WhatsApp. If we had Facebook Messenger in there, you'd have 4 out of the top 5 platforms that are owned by Meta. And whether you're doing B2B or B2C, we have to consider Meta as the center of our social media and digital strategy, right? We see better results on Meta for B2B than we do on LinkedIn. And I'm going to talk about those numbers in a moment, but it comes down to numbers, and I'm going to talk about why that is. And we're going to also talk about TikTok as well. So I've highlighted there 3 platforms that consistently, no matter what campaign we do, whether it's B2B, B2C, high ticket item, low ticket item campaigns, consistently ROI, right? So you've got Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. They all ROI consistently about the same. The other ones, we don't really see consistent ROI from. And a lot of people say to me, yeah, but what about TikTok? We could talk about TikTok, but I'll question whether you've seen consistent ROI from TikTok yourselves, right? So one thing I'd like to talk about as well is that around 73% of the Australian population is on social media actively every month. 20.2 million of those are on Meta every month as well. Now, I don't work for Meta. I'm not a spokesperson. I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm just trying to give you the numbers. But what I want is to give you the effective data for ROI, right? And it really has to be void of opinion, void of subjectivity, and down to objectivity and what the numbers are saying. And those numbers lead us to results. So, as of December 2024, Facebook demographics, you can see the largest demographic was actually 25 to 39 at 6.1 million people in Australia actively on Facebook. When we look at 40 to 55, which is our second largest demographic, it's at 4.1 million. Now, where do you think disposable income starts in Australia? What age? It probably says it up there, but no, it doesn't. Okay, good. What age do you think disposable income starts in Australia? Sorry? So I'll give you the definition of disposable. So disposable is you can live out of home independently and look after yourself without relying on anyone else. Close. So 25, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, is where Australians start to have disposable income. Where do you think most Australians start to have business decision-making influence in organisations? What age? Sorry? Actually a lot younger than that. Good try. So 27, okay? So when we look at where disposable income starts, where business decision making actually starts, it happens at this demographic down. So when we look at ROI from a platform, we need to look at where our business audiences actually are. So TikTok has an average demographic of 13 to 21. Disposable income, not there. Right? There's a lot of people on the other demographics as well, but disposable income on TikTok is not very high. And we don't see consistently the ROI results on TikTok, right? Versus somewhere like Meta and LinkedIn, when we leverage those platforms together, we see great results. Now, I'm not saying don't do TikTok. TikTok is fantastic top of the funnel, if you know what marketing funnels are, top of the funnel marketing, right? It attracts people and it brings people into your funnel, and then you can remarket to them through Meta and through other platforms as well. But where we see consistent results in ROI is constantly, we see it till now consistently, is Meta and LinkedIn. Now, I was talking about before, Meta gets better B2B results than LinkedIn. So the average user on Meta is about 36 minutes a day, right? The average user on LinkedIn is 4 minutes a day. And the average user on LinkedIn is usually selling themselves, looking for leads, right? Or looking for job opportunities. Yeah? They're not consuming content. So on Meta, you have more content consumption. And that's the aim of the game. You want content consumption from your audiences. Whether you're B2B or B2C, low ticket item, high ticket item. A lot of people say to me, yeah, but George, the CEO is not on social media. Yes, he is. He's on social media. He's probably looking at Insta Reels. He's doing things on Facebook, keeping in touch with his family. All the way from your CEO down to your receptionist. If they've got a LinkedIn account, they've very likely got a Meta account. And Harvey Norman does it really well, right? Harvey Norman advertises during the State of Origin, right, which is a football game. I'm there to watch the football, but he's advertising laptops for me. Right, I'm a business owner. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to buy some laptops on the weekend for some staff. It's about touch points. It's about where do we create touch points. It's not about what platform you like to be on or what your mates say they like. It's where we can actually get your audiences per the data and where we can create touch points. And that is, I think, the biggest trick, and where I see a lot of marketing teams go wrong with trying to get ROI, is they're focused on the subjectivity and what their opinion is rather than the objectivity and what is actually happening. And I'm dealing with a marketing company at the moment where they're so focused on how the pastel colors of their Instagram grid feed need to match, right? And they're wondering why they're not getting return on investment. Okay? So this is a thing where we talk about subjectivity versus objectivity. We really need to know the numbers. Another thing that's really important is that we're leveraging off the social media channels. So not one social media channel works by itself. You need all of them to work together, because the average Australian has 7 social media accounts, right? We've got Snapchat, maybe you have TikTok account, you have X, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, and a few others, right? Reddit, whatever. So we're going to be hopping between them, and sometimes we don't even know which platform we're on, right? It's like another limb. Today's social media, people use it without even realizing. And I'm going to show you some of the time people are using social media now. But people are using it without even realizing. It's not a novelty tool like it was 10, 12 years ago, right? Where people used to play games like Candy Crush and announce the results on their Facebook newsfeed, or poke each other on Facebook. Like, if people poke me today, I'll probably block them, right? It's just not a thing we do anymore, okay? So people use it now for content consumption. It's like TV. It's like radio, okay? And the way you've got to get your headspace into is that you are a media organisation first. You're a media company first. And you can't be just selling all the time to people. You've got to create touch points, and you've got to create it across multiple channels. One thing we've seen that's really interesting is that privacy in Australia, we're the second highest country in the world in terms of how much we consider privacy important. So behind Singapore, we're number 2. And when businesses are really transparent with their audiences around what they do with data and what they're doing with information, because part of the social media game or digital game is actually collecting data. We have to collect data to be successful. But being transparent about that, we've seen those businesses do better. Just a little tidbit there. One thing we see across all demographics, whether you're Gen Z all the way to baby boomers, is that they all use social media for the same thing, which is keeping in touch with family and friends. It's the number one reason. So when we look at engagement and how to keep people engaged, which I'm about to tell you is 20 to 25 touch points you need before you can actually get a conversion out of someone. How do you keep people engaged? Well, you need to be genuine, you need to be empathetic with your audiences, you need to come across as a friend, genuinely, in order for them to continue to want to see you on their news feeds. So being creative around that, how do you add value, and so on. It's not just about how do I get leads. That will come when you build the relationship. right? So it is a time thing, it is an investment, and it requires many touch points to do that. So this is a bit of a time synopsis for how long people are spending on social media globally at the moment. In Australia, we're actually spending 1 hour and 51 minutes a day on social media. That's actually down. That sounds like a lot, but we're actually down from 2 hours and 10 minutes a day in 2023. So we got a little bit more healthier with social media. And one of the things is that today, compared to 2019, that's a 32% uplift of people spending time on social media, but they're doing something 40% less than they were in 2019, which is something called overt engagement. So they're following, liking, commenting, sharing less, 40% less than they were in 2019. When was the last time you followed a page, really, right? When was the last time you commented or shared a post? I had a girl in a workshop not long ago. She said to me, she put her hand up and goes, yeah, that's 100% right. I don't get seen on social media unless someone tags me, but I'm on there all the time, right? And it's a whole social thing for her, right? She doesn't want people to see that she's on there all the time. She's on there all the time. And we've become professional stalkers. We're very good at being online, checking out what people are doing, but also consuming content, getting our news and so on. So at the end of the day, if you're tracking KPIs like likes, comments, shares, follows as your main KPI to track performance on social media, you're doing it wrong. It's a redundant metric because people are doing it 40% less while they're on social media 32% more, right? So people are consuming more, but interacting overtly less. They're doing covert engagement. So your metrics, your correct metrics, are things like video views, link clicks, profile visits, post clicks, website views. And they are the metrics that the algorithm actually favors as well, right? So the algorithm actually favors likes, comments, shares, follows the least out of all the metrics, okay? So I go to a lot of companies and they're still tracking followers, likes, comments, shares as a major KPI. You know, and we want to get our followers here, we want to do this. And you will get all that, that's a byproduct of a successful campaign, but it shouldn't be a major metric. So what is engagement then? So with any digital campaign, social media campaign, we need to make sure engagement is consistent in order to create the touch points I was talking about, which I talked about before, is 20 to 25 touch points, right? So how do we keep people involved in our brand for 20 to 25 touch points? So there's a few things. One, we need to be collecting the right metrics, so we need to understand what our correct metrics are to how we're going to evaluate if people are engaging. And this is by order. This is by order of how the algorithm currently ranks engagement metrics. So you can see at the bottom there, you've got reactions, comments, shares, follows last. You've got video views first, link clicks second, website visits, profile visits, and also something called hang time, by how long someone's stopping on a post on their newsfeed. Every millisecond that happens is like giving you brownie points as a business. The number one rule that the algorithm's trying to achieve is keeping people on the platform longer. So every millisecond that you are able to keep someone on the platform longer, you're getting rewarded by the algorithm with cheaper advertising and higher quality audiences, which we'll talk about in a moment. And I'll talk about what the algorithm is and what an algorithm is and all that in a sec. I just want to see, no, I haven't included in these slides. So there's 3 ways to keep someone engaged. One is either through inspiration or controversy. So they're both the same thing, just opposite. They're basically non-mainstream content that is either positive or negative. So inspiration is non-mainstream content that is positive, and then you have non-mainstream content that is negative, which is controversial. Either one gets you engagement, right? So it depends on what your sort of tone of voice is as a brand, what you want to achieve. If you like to be a little bit provocative, then controversy is great. But if you like to play it safe, inspiration is fantastic. Relevance, so making sure that you're being relevant within the last 2 weeks. Your content shouldn't be more than 2 weeks old in terms of what you're talking about. I saw a mortgage broker the other day, it was probably like 3 weeks after the RBA announced that they were going to hold interest rates. Go, oh, big news, the RBA decided to hold interest rates. That's obviously a no-no, right? In your industries, you want to be as current as possible and be that point of reference that people can look to as, okay, that's my terminal for where I get industry news from. And the third thing is value add, so thought leadership. Nothing beats thought leadership and value adding. So I'll say it again, inspiration, controversy, relevance, and value add. They're the three things that keep people engaged all the way down the funnel for 20 to 25 touch points. It's really simple. It's simple stuff. It's not rocket science. Now, in terms of engagement ads and things that have created great engagement with people, Meta engagement ads, never boost on Meta, never boost a post, right? Posting, so your organic post and putting money behind it and boosting it actually detriments your organic reach. So the algorithm actually penalizes you for it. They'll take your money, but what we've seen time and time again by our analytics team is that you lose reach because they want to encourage you to do it again, right? And it's not best practice. Best practice is actually through the ads manager. So you want to do engagement ads instead through ads manager. So make sure you do engagement ads instead of boosting. Now, something that's working really well is LinkedIn personal boosted posts. I'll show you an example in a moment where you put money behind, as a company, a person's post. This came out in February this year and it's doing amazing, right? In terms of both ROI and engagement. And I think LinkedIn has one of the best engagement rates in terms of organic, right? It is fantastic. And then TikTok Spark ads, if you're really looking for top of funnel engagement and it works really well, TikTok Spark ads have done amazing work across a number of brands that we've worked with. So this is another place where you can build top of funnel engagement. Again, TikTok, we don't see consistency bottom of funnel. You can have a crack, but when I say consistency, I need to see, when we value that, we need to see it consistently over 6 months being forecastable. So we need to go, okay, we know this month we're going to get X amount of leads or this many conversions from app platform. I've never seen that from TikTok. I've seen that over and over again from Meta, and we've seen it in some cases of LinkedIn, but not from TikTok. And the problem with that is that the biggest reason for that is Meta is AI-led, so it's all built through data, and the way content is served is through a very fair equilibrium of, are you keeping people on the platform longer? While with TikTok, it's human interactive. So there's a hybrid. So they have an AI, but they also have people in a double bay office picking what content's going to be seen first. So then you have a bias there, and as a business, you're not going to probably get seen first consistently if someone else is intervening and there's a third party. So that's where we have some issues with the TikTok side of things with bottom of funnel. This is an example of this is actually doing way more than this right now. This is an old post, but I saw yesterday it's at around 2 million impressions at the moment. So a company called Espresso, a portable monitor business. I took this photo, did a post about me using them at Adelaide Airport. They put $750 behind it. They made $10,500 in sales. This is a LinkedIn boosted post. And they got 333,000 impressions at the time when I did this this slide, at 34% CTR, which is massive. 34% is huge. Now that's at 2 million impressions at the moment. I don't know what the revenue is, but it's a lot bigger than that. So when we're building actual campaigns, if you forget everything I tell you today, and you just walk away with this one message, this one slide, this is worth your value, right? So this is over 10 years, easily 10, more than that. It's 12 years of testing that this formula is the way to debug any social media or digital marketing campaign, right? Over 1,000 campaigns, plus my own businesses, etc., etc. It's a very simple marketing formula, very, very simple. The first thing we need to do is increase brand value. Now, a lot of people say to me, George, I want to increase brand awareness. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. I can get your brand awareness up, but if everyone thinks your brand's crap, then what's the point, right? It's worth nothing. What we need is actual brand value. That's where we need to start. We need to build brand value. So how do we build brand value? Well, it's just telling two stories. Two stories. One is your business to customer journey. So the journey your business goes on with your customer to deliver the service or product to your customer, right? What does that look like? The 95% your customer doesn't see, right? The hard work, the staff being here today, for example, the training, the brainstorming sessions, all that stuff needs to be communicated. You see the biggest brands in the world, that's what they do. They talk about their stories. Like we talk about, let's look at Apple, for example. Apple, world's biggest brand, right? Their business to customer journey is their founder's journey. So two guys in Southern California wanted to start the world's biggest personal computer company. One was a tech genius and coding genius. The other one was a HR and marketing genius. They started out of their garage. They became the world's biggest personal computing company within, I think, 8 years. Then the founder gets fired from his own company, comes back, starts the world's best personal music device, then starts the world's best smartphone device and product, passes away, his protege takes over, it became the world's biggest company and biggest brand, right? That's Apple. We all know that story. We all know that story because they've told us that story on purpose. They put it into movies, they put it into their PR, they put it into so on. I can prove that they've done it on purpose because I'll use another brand, Airbnb. Do you know the founders of Airbnb? No, because they haven't gone down that route. Airbnb went down a different route. The success of their vendor, people leasing out their apartment to a stranger, which is a huge barrier to begin with, to a guest, and then the story of that guest back to the vendor. Telling that over and over again. We know those stories. If you go on Wikipedia, you probably can find out the founder of Airbnb. There's actually two guys. But that's not the story they've pushed. So it's part of the PR. It's part of the brand value. You have to tell your business to customer journey 50% of the time. What I see a lot of businesses do is they just talk about, this is how you buy our product, this is how fun we are, leave your contact details. It's not good enough to build a brand. The second part of that journey is the customer to business journey, which we all talk about very well, which is the journey of the customer to the business. So how do they find you? What do they do when they engage with you? What happens when they actually acquire your product or service? What happens post-service or product? So that journey as well needs to be told 50% of the time. So to build brand value, you need to tell two stories, business to customer, customer to business, over and over and over again in your organic and your ads and everything. Your top of funnel should be your business to customer journey, right? It should be the effort you guys go on in building a business for your customers. When we see an increase in brand value, we naturally see an increase in engagement. Okay? So how do you know you're building brand value? Well, you'll see an increase in engagement. Now remember, engagement's not likes, comments, shares, followers. It's link clicks, video views, post clicks, website visits. When you see an increase in what we call covert engagement, you will know now your brand value has been increasing. People are taking notice of your brand, they're starting to actually look around, they're really engaging with your business now. That's how you know your storytelling is working. This is the most important point on this formula because when we engage with the business, we have to collect the data of the user. So, I'll use an analogy I always use. So if I was at a shopping centre and I put a video camera down a hallway at a shopping centre and you had Myer on one side and you had boutique clothing store on another, where do you think most people would go? Sorry? Myer. Why do you think Myer? You're correct, by the way, but why do you think that? It's brand value. So it's attracted more engagement. Yeah, some people might go to the boutique clothing store, but with the bigger brand value, you're going to attract more engagement. Now imagine if everyone who walked into the store, we can collect an ID. And we can store that ID into a database, and then we can cultivate that ID with more and more touch points based on what I was talked about before that creates engagement. Inspiration, controversy, relevance, and value, right? That is the most important point in this formula because if you don't do that, you're not going to get quality leads, sales, and inquiries. You can't get sales and inquiries or leads after 1 or 2 touch points. It doesn't work that way. You need, with digital, at least 20 to 25 touch points. Consistent messaging to an audience, right? When they've reached that warmth with you, then you can put leads in front of them and you'll get a good conversion rate from those leads. Or you get, when I say a conversion rate, we're marketing, we're not sales. This is a marketing function. So marketing and sales are actually completely different. We deliver warm and interested traffic to a point of conversion. We don't convert it. That's sales, right? So if the salesperson gets to a lead 5 days later and we've delivered someone that was super interested, is that the fault of marketing? No, right? If we've delivered someone super interested into a cafe and the person behind the cash register was rude and the person walks out, is that the fault of marketing? No. If we deliver someone to a website and they get to the checkout page and checkout page is not working, is that marketing's fault? The payment gateway is not marketing. Payment gateway is the conversion side, right? Yes, your website guy might be the person that implements and you consider him part of marketing, but still your conversion point, right? So you get on the phone to PayPal or your credit card company or to your payment gateway and go, hey, what's going on, right? So at the end of the day, driving people to here needs warm and interested audiences that are flowing to your point of conversion, right? And that's how you track a successful marketing campaign is how many warm and interested people did we flow to a point of conversion? The conversion side is sales. And yeah, everyone wins if we convert more, but the first metric that marketing should be judged on is warm and interested traffic to that point of conversion. Do we all agree with that? Do we see that? We all align on that? And you can go back to your boss or your sales director and go, hey, you got to stop telling me I'm not converting. This guy's not picking up the leads fast enough, right? So now the benchmark for leads in a business from Meta, guess how many leads should be high quality from a Meta campaign when you've done everything properly? Guess how many of your leads should be high quality? Sorry? No, well, 1%, oh, have a bit more faith. 20%. So one in five leads you should be able to have a conversation with, and it's really down to your sales skill. Okay? That's how you know you're getting support from the algorithm and you've built a good campaign. 1 in 5 is the benchmark. Okay, expected ROI time frame is 6 to 9 months, 20 to 25 touch points, as we talked about. What's really key is data is king, not content. So at the end of the day, content is not what's going to drive results by itself. Data leading the content is what drives results. So you sort of going, hey, I like the color purple, I think we should go to market with purple, but the market's telling you green's going to work better, and you still do purple, means that you're going to get bad results. You have to go with what you don't like sometimes, if the market tells you that, and often it's counterintuitive. Like some of the ads we're running at the moment for our agency on Meta, I look at it and go, how is that working? But it's working, right? And we're getting great leads out of it. And it's just going with what the data says, you know? So that is key. Data leads the content. You always must be remarketing after events like this, during a sales cycle. You need to make sure that you've got those databases. If you're exhibiting today, you should be pushing people to a digital database. I'm not just talking about emails. You should be pushing them to your website where you can collect their Meta ID or LinkedIn ID and remarket to them on Meta and LinkedIn, right? That has to be part of your strategy. And the same thing goes with sales cycles. You're probably going to have a meeting, 2 weeks apart with meeting someone, right? You need to have your brand in front of those people between that time frame to keep the touch points up, keep value high, maybe serving them some value-added stuff. If you're an e-commerce and you're a retail brand, people don't make decisions straight away. They jump in and out, they go and check out competitors, they might be at work, they'll make a decision when they get home. You want to make sure you're right in front of them again when they're on social media, right? So remarketing is not being done enough. And if it is being done, it's being done in a very, very simplistic way. And I can say that with confidence. Around 90% of people I speak to are doing it either not doing it all or very, very simplified. And it's not generating the results, and they go, oh, social media's not working, and blah, blah, blah. They're not doing it properly, and they're not giving it the right time frame. Another thing is, when you're wearing your social media marketing hat, a social media marketer's job is not to be a graphic designer. It's not to be a videographer. It's not to be a copywriter. Our job is to actually look under the hood of these platforms, no different to a mechanic looks under the hood of a car, and work out how these platforms actually operate and tick. Our job is to try to put content into the engine of social media and get it to go as far as possible with our target market, right? If I go get Steven Spielberg to do a video for me, right, and the algorithm hates me, and then you do something on your phone, very, very simply, and the algorithm likes you, you're going to get a much better result than me. The content does not make the impact unless the algorithm is on your side, right? And that's the key. There is 3 stakeholders in every social media marketing campaign. There's you, there's your target market, and there's the algorithm. And the algorithm is the 3rd stakeholder and the most important stakeholder, and the one that everyone doesn't consider. The target market is actually only going to get served your ads if the algorithm wants it to be served, the ads to them, right? We're going to talk about that in a moment. I don't want to go too far into that, but we're about to go into that. Now, so what is an algorithm? An algorithm is a set of rules and processes that lead to an end goal, okay? So it's a set of rules and processes that lead to an end goal. So no different to how there's a recipe for lasagna, right? Step 1, do this. Step 2, I don't know how to make lasagna, so I'm just gonna, so step 3, step 4, and step 5, you get a lasagna, right? Same thing with an algorithm. It's step 1, this needs to happen, step 2, step 3, and that shifts and changes all the time because the end goal of the meta algorithm, which is the most sophisticated algorithm, this is the one that makes the most money, and all the other platforms are trying to catch up to, is to keep people on the platform longer. Work out what keeps someone on the platform longer, and it's working, right? Because people are spending longer on meta. So when you're able to build in best practice into your campaigns, the algorithm will support you. So the thing that keeps people on the platform longer is security. And really the number one thing, the foundational stuff with your social media campaign is you need to be trusted by the algorithm. You need to be following best practice. You need to be posting regularly, or at least 3 to 5 times a week. You need to be doing updates with your databases, right? You need to be in Business Manager or Meta Business Suite and set up properly. Your page needs to be set up properly. If you just have the basics in, the algorithm's going to support you. Because now it can serve your ads to its audiences without the risk of people getting pissed off they saw your ad. Or going to your page and going, what's this? This person hasn't responded to a comment in like 3 weeks, or hasn't put a post up in a month, right? It doesn't want to put people, those types of businesses in front of people because it's a risk, right? It will put people who it trusts in front of its audiences. You don't have to be a big spender. You don't have to have 100,000 followers. You don't need any of that. You just need to be trusted, okay? And when you're trusted, you will get a higher quality audience. So the algorithm actually knows, it's the biggest data aggregator in the world. It knows what everyone wants and what everyone's doing. It knows that I recently booked a trip to Melbourne and I paid X for it and I'm going to stay there and I know I'm staying at X hotel for how many nights and when I'm coming back, right? It has all that because of all the pixel data on all the websites. And it knows what I'm doing on its platforms, on Instagram, what I'm stopping on, what I'm interacting with, etc. So it knows if I'm high quality or not for certain people. I wouldn't be high quality for fast fashion, but I'd be great for business, business flights, because I travel a lot for work, right? So it might put me as a low quality audience for a fast fashion brand, but for Qantas and Qantas Business or whatever, it would put me here. Now, it wouldn't put me in front of Qantas if it didn't trust Qantas, because it doesn't want to drive me off the platform because I'm worth a lot to those types of advertisers. So the idea is, and the game is, you want to go and get high quality audiences. Just because you're doing ads doesn't mean you're getting high quality audiences. And this can affect your conversion rate as well as your lead quality rate on Meta, right? And this is why a lot of campaigns don't work out, because they're still getting low quality audiences. At the end of the day, Meta's going to take your money, but it's not going to give you the highest quality audiences, right? So the idea is to get here, and this takes about 6 months to build and develop. But once you're here, your campaigns are like gold. It's an asset, right? And it's predictable and forecastable. And that's where you want to get to. You want to be able to predict the outcome of your social media marketing and digital marketing campaigns. And you can do that quite well when you get here, right? So if you apply that formula that I talked about before and you follow best practice, if you just go to Facebook for Business, there's a website called Facebook for Business, it tells you the latest best practices. And you just have to implement them. They're not complex, very simple. And you just implement and be consistent for 6 months, you should get here. right? So that's something a lot of people don't know about, is this quality index that the algorithm holds people and advertisers to. And just because you're spending money doesn't mean they're going to serve you the best audiences, right? So it's something to keep in mind and something to use in your strategy. In terms of ROI metrics, these are the three we want to focus on. One is your cost per 1,000 impressions. Now, I'm talking about ads now. You have to do ads and organic together. You're not going to get ROI just from organic. The algorithm on average distributes 8% of, your posts, your organic posts to 8% of your followers randomly. We're not going to have consistent touch points from that. What we have to do is build ads that are consistently being served to top, middle, bottom of funnel, right? And create touch points that way. Your organic posts are purely there to keep the algorithm happy. It's what takes a lot of work, but it's there to show the algorithm that if they're going to send someone to your page, your profile, that you're active. That's what it's doing. So you're not going to get ROI from organic. You have to do paid as well. And it doesn't take a lot of money to do paid. Realistically, you can do $600 a month to about $600, $900 a month to serve Sydney to start with. You don't want to start too high because if you're getting a low quality audience, you're wasting your money. You want to start at a point where you can optimize, make it efficient, and then scale, right? So the first metric we want to keep an eye on is CPM. Now, why CPM? CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions, is super important because it tells us our health score. It's one way to know what the algorithm thinks of us. Because if CPM is trending up, it means the algorithms for the same budget is showing us to less people. If it's trending down, it means the algorithm's showing us to more people for the same budget. So it's one way to keep an eye on the health score of what the algorithm's thinking of you. And yeah, it's seasonal as well, so adjust seasonally, but you want to look at it 7-day, 14-day, and 30-day, and over those time frames, is it trending down or is it trending up? Your click-through rate, that's your engagement rate with your ads, obviously super important. That gives you an idea of the speed of your campaign, so how many touch points you're going to collect as fast as possible to get people to convert. I talked about 6 to 9 months before. If your CTR is low, that's going to take a longer time, right? So you want to keep it high. You want to keep it above 1.5 to 2% is the benchmark. And then quality of audience rate to conversion point. So this is the one you want to measure in terms of the quality of the conversion audience, let's say lead generation audiences. Of those leads that you got, are 1 in 5, did you have a conversation with them, right? Or to your website, are you getting an e-commerce conversion rate at 2% and above from social media, for example, right? So you want to measure the quality of your leads. Okay, sorry, I am going over, so I'll jump off shortly. We've got 5 minutes? Yeah, 5 minutes, okay. So this next bit, super interesting, unique placement advertising. This is the future of digital. This is where everything's going. Hyper-personalized, hyper-localized advertising. You have to put this into your campaigns. Now with all the cookie stuff that's going on with Facebook and Meta and LinkedIn and TikTok, all reducing the way in which you can target people geographically, this is another way you can do it. So imagine if you can target people down to 30 square meters. So we could target, let's say, this room or this trade show. And everyone's devices and laptops are potential targets if they've got location sharing services on. No different to how you use Google Maps or Uber. We can target those devices in any website inventory, so websites they're looking at, the ads that appear on those websites, we can take over those ads and place someone who's exhibiting here onto those ads. And that's what we've done recently with Tourism Australia and Tourism New Zealand in expos overseas. So for example, that's the Melbourne Convention Centre. You could take over the whole convention centre and place ads on websites people are looking at. So when they're waiting, most people, like at lunch, they might be sitting at the bistro looking at their phone, they'll look through social media for a bit, and then they'll start looking at websites like news, sport, mums and bubs, health and fitness, lifestyle, travel. That's the normal ones people are looking at. We can take over ads on those devices. Or if they're at work, people are doing a lot of browsing at work, we can take over, laptops and things like that, right? We've got a law firm at the moment that's wanting to take over a competing law firm's building, and everyone at work, when they jump online, they'll see that competing law firms' ads pop up, and yeah, recruitment ads. So that's interesting. So there's a lot of ways you can use UPA. I'm not suggesting that, but that's definitely a guerrilla tactic. That's a CBD building. You can target that. So, you see those ads in elevators. Now you can get ads on people's devices while they're in that building. Where we've had a lot of success is airport lounges, especially for B2B. So airport lounges with professional services or business-related products have done really well. Someone asked me, can I do a moving train? I said, we can do a train line, right? So we targeted a train line, the North Shore train line, and all trains moving up and down that train line, we can get people on there while they're on their phones and putting ads on their phones. So the ads, we're actually taking over these display ads. I'm just going to pump through this. There's a whole bunch of stuff I could talk about, but please see me afterwards if you have questions around this. It's fantastic for remarketing. It's done amazing things for not just remarketing, because we can collect device IDs, but social media remarketing, because we're driving people to a website, then the Meta and LinkedIn pixels or TikTok pixel picks up the data, and now we're remarketing to them on social media as well. Yeah, I'll jump through all this. I don't want to take the next speaker's time. So please book in a 30-minute strategy session with us. It's free, it's not a sales call, it is literally to go through your strategy, where you're at, and next steps. And then the way we've built our agency over the last 9 years is just being a terminal for people, like an education point. So if you've got questions or whatever, come to us. Eventually you end up referring us, or you end up becoming a client anyway. So that's how we build it. So genuinely, it's not a sales session, it's just sitting down with you and working out what your next steps are. If you want to get in touch, that's our email address, or just jump on our website as well. But yeah, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And if you've got any questions, I'll be over there. Thank you.